So the paper I chose to discuss is titled Shoot Flammability of Vascular Plants is Phylogenetically Conserved and Related to Habitat, Fire Proneness, and Growth Form. The title of this paper very concisely summarizes what their results are from this paper actually. The paper is concise in its whole too, which is very helpful in my opinion. So in this study, these researchers hypothesized that species in fire-prone ecosystems tend to be more flammable than species from non-fire-prone ecosystems, and this may suggest that fire could have an important role in the evolution of plant flammability. Previous studies have agreed with or disagreed with this hypothesis that they've come up with, and then they've also noted that this flammability level may be a result of exaptations, where another trait that's selected for has also resulted in varying levels of flammability in these plants. So to go out and test this hypothesis, these researchers gathered 194 species in New Zealand. Some of them are indigenous and then others are exotic. The group is Tracheophyta, which is shown as a whole, every single one. So 194 different species is shown later in this paper, and they measured ignition frequency, so the tendency for it to ignite, the burning time, how long it burned, the maximum temperature that the burning reached, and then the amount of burnt biomass. So once they got these, they then related these to phylogeny, so their relatedness to the other species, and then the environment that they were in, so the susceptibility to fire, the fire proneness of the habitat, and then also the growth form of the species. And the growth form of the species, they brought them into 4 different groups. They had forbs, grasses, trees, and shrubs, which all had slightly different flammability levels. But to summarize all their results, 23 species did not ignite at all, and then 82 species ignited in 100% of all the samples. The others landed somewhere in between that. And then the mean consumed biomass ranged from 0% to 94%, and the maximum temperature reached 771.5 plus or minus 23 degrees Celsius. So this is everything that they found, which doesn't give an entire answer just looking at these results right here. But when we look at the data here, this also summarizes. This image is very complex looking actually, but it's really simple. This just shows every single species of plant that they tested and then their groupings based on the clads that they decided to use. So to read this, you read it from the inside to outside actually. So first they report the ignition frequency, so this is just the ratio of, this value right here. The inner one is the ratio of plants that ignited versus didn't ignite in that species, so based on their samples. And then they have the maximum temperature, which is next. So you'll actually notice that some of these are 150 degrees. And that basically means that they didn't burn at all because the first temperature that they exposed them to was 150 degrees for 2 minutes, which is an interesting part of their methods that I want to talk about as well. And then also, the next one out was the time in seconds, so the burn time. And then the next one out is the burnt biomass, and this is just a percentage as well. Another figure I wanted to discuss was this one. It's really simple to read, actually, even though there's a lot going on right here. The dots, just because I think this is a place where if you're reading this, it may be a little bit confusing. The dots are staggered left and right. They're just skewed a little bit. That doesn't indicate anything on the results. It's just so you can see the dots better relative to one another, so they're not overlapping so much. But most notable is in the fire-prone region, right over here. You can see this is showing the ignition frequency. So in the fire-prone region, you have a clear gap between. So you have a lot of species down here that aren't very fire-prone, and then you have a lot that are very fire-prone that burn hot and ignite quickly. And then there's not a whole lot going on in between right here. So there's not an intermediate. There's just you are very likely to burn or you are unlikely to burn in this region. And I think that's one of their important results to note. So all in all, to summarize what they found that flammability is largely conserved within phylogenetic groups. So among these related species, they're likely to have similar flammability levels. Plants in fire-prone environments tend to be more flammable, and growth form influences flammability. So combining all of these results together, they propose that predicting the flammability of plants in certain regions could be possible using these results.